Did the video start? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I have no idea. For those of you who are watching the replay, welcome. Let me know how you're feeling, what's going on. You might want to give it a minute or two while I wait for, or press forward a minute or two while I wait for people to show up. Hello, happy spring. I'm here to share a few things with you that have been coming up. We're in a full Scorpio moon, and though I don't know much about the Aquarius, well, I know a lot about Aquarius because I'm Aquarius, but though I don't know much about like the zodiac and stuff, I felt what was happening. I felt a lot of, people having trouble with boundaries. I felt a lot of like things being revealed that I didn't even know was there for me and for others. I felt it. And so I asked my astrologer friends and they said, it's a Scorpio moon. Everything's coming to the surface. And let me tell you, things have been coming to the surface. Do you feel it? I know I'm not the only one. It's everywhere. It's coming up. And in some cases, especially if it's within ourselves, that it could be a tough pill to swallow. But you got it. You're powerful enough to deal with it. And if it's for others, sometimes, we have to remember to be compassionate, because sometimes things come up for others that we're like, I told you so, or we're like, but really, like, let's be compassionate for each other, even with the worst of mistakes and the worst of things that have happened that you're now seeing come to the light. That person is suffering too, on a struggle too. So let's inspire ourselves that as things are blowing up in people's faces, to remember that we're all human beings on this journey. Okay, so hello, thank you for coming. Please let me know. I've always found doing videos in this sort of like Facebook medium strange. So please say hello. Give me a thumbs up in the comments. Let me know that there are human beings out there that I'm talking to. I can see you're here. I appreciate you being here. This video, dear white people. For those of you who follow me, thank you, and have been looking at my videos, you're going to hear some similar things, because I've been shouting these things from the rooftop for many years, but especially in the last year and a half. And then after the lynching of George Floyd, people started paying attention even more. And now that we're in a time of everything being shown, everything coming to the surface, now there's this resurgence of people wanting to hear some of these things I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to go off of my notes, because as you know, I can literally talk about this stuff forever and ever and ever. This is what I dive into. This is part of my, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexandra Loves, or Alexandra Lewis on Facebook as well. And my work is with women. I help women create their lives, right? But a big leg of my work is anti-racism from a spiritual perspective. And that just means from within, looking at this from within. I believe that everyone who is putting their focus on anti-racism, allyship, wanting to help communities that are marginalized by the system, that you have the wisdom within you to solve the problems, to heal, whether it's within yourself or your families or your community, to really make a change for the new world. And we're in this together. We're doing this together, whether you like it or not, whether it's comfortable for you or not, right? And so there's been a lot of attention on that this year. So that's me. That's what I do. In the comments of this, or in the post of this video, you can check me out and check out my energy and all of that. So I wanted to, this is kind of an informal video. I just wanted to talk to white people for a minute about some things that have come up as things in activism communities are coming to light, and the truths are being told, and a great wrestling up and also healing is happening right now. Healing doesn't always look pretty. As a matter of fact, it almost never does, right? So I wanted to, a couple of posts that I said got some traction with new people who might not even know me and are just getting introduced to me. And so I want to share so that you know a little bit more about me and where I stand, and also a big message I have for white people. And that is, as I was watching some of these things rustle up, my message for white people is, please start exploring white supremacism and anti-racism. Now, if you're white supremacism and racism. Now, if you're following me, you're already doing that probably. But one thing that I noticed as some of the things were coming up in the activism community recently is that there's a lot of white people who don't really even understand how they're holding up white supremacism, how they are part of it. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not actively dismantling it, then you are nourishing it. if you're not actively taking action, then you are practicing in white supremacism. But guess what? That's not just for white people. That's all of us, because white supremacism is part of this nasty beast that's a pillar of our system and conditions us. It's in all of our structures, and it infects people. It infects people who are living within this structure. Okay. But today, right now, I'm specifically talking to white people. And I want to just briefly talk about a situation that happens I'm sure happens everywhere. It's definitely was happening in Portland. And that was how white supremacism plays out in activism communities. And what I see a lot of, and a lot of the people who come to my sessions to work on like guilt and shame are finding themselves in cycles where they don't know what to do. They don't know how to navigate themselves. They don't totally even understand what white supremacism is. And they're making their choices when it comes to anti-racism. They're making their choices when it comes to how they want to be an ally or accomplice, or who they want to support based on fear and guilt, right? On I need to be told what to do. And then they find the biggest, loudest activism leader, okay, or course, or whatever it is, and they show up in communities where they're told what to do. Listen to how strange this sounds, okay? They show up in communities where they're told what to do, they're told that they can't speak, they're yelled at all the time. Seriously, communities where they're being emotionally abused, very similar to what you see in domestic violence situations, like emotional domestic violence situations. Okay, so they're showing up, they're told to give their money and not ask questions. There's no accountability, there's gaslighting, there's deflection, and this because they're not navigating from a place of empowerment or healing. They're navigating from a place of guilt and shame. This feels normal. Now, let me ask you, white people, whenever in your life have you ever shown up in a community or followed somebody who straight up was like, don't talk, don't ask questions. I have no accountability. I can do whatever I want. You have to give me money when I say you have to give me money. If you try to learn to ask questions, you can't. We're gonna damage you, call you names, go after your family, all this. When have you ever seen that and shown up in the community and said, yes, this is the way I'm going to help heal the world. This is the way I'm going to be effective. Right? So because of that, and because this has to do with race, this is a symptom of white supremacism. This is one of the many ways that white supremacism lives inside you. Because when white supremacism was created in the way we know it right now in the United States, this also was a behavior, a condition, right? Watching people being sold, watching people being dehumanized, watching the genocide of indigenous people, standing by and then going to that land soaked with blood where people have been wiped out and then building a foundation there. Okay. You have to be able to not say anything. You have to be able to disconnect from your feelings. You have to be able to go along with it, even though you know it's abusive and it's not okay. That's white supremacism. Okay. And if you don't challenge that within yourself, you're going to keep getting yourself involved with communities, with leaders that treat you like inhuman, are going to dehumanize you. You're going to keep supporting leaders that are actually going against what the thing is that they say they're fighting for. All right. You should be able to be treated like a human in this journey. You should be able to ask questions. You should be able to make mistakes and then correct them if you're willing to learn. Now, the discernment of when that happens and where that happens, that's a whole nother nuanced journey. That's something to work on. But ultimately, I want you to start asking yourself, like, how am I upholding white supremacism? Because I promise if you're not looking at this within yourself or dismantling it within yourself, then you're nourishing it. You're holding it up. Okay. You're supporting it. And unfortunately, especially with activism, if you're supporting leaders that treat you in this way, that operate in this way, that teach others, thousands of other people to operate in this way, it actually hurts the communities that you say you want to help. And I could talk about that forever, but I'm going to go on to another thing. Another thing that comes up, especially so I have courses and sessions. In my sessions, Black Mentor Program for White People Who Are Ready, I hold that space for people specifically to come in and deal with their guilt and their pain and their mistakes and all of that. Like, I hold that space, whatever it is for you. It doesn't matter. This is not a place where I'm going to be offended and be like, no, whatever it is for you, white people, okay, that you are dealing with. It does not matter. You're welcome to that space because someone needs to hold that space for you to get through. I want you to get through it so that you can be empowered and actually make a difference. Okay, so that you can keep going, so that you have longevity, because this stuff that we're trying to fix and rebalance, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be rebalanced and fixed in our lifetime. This is long-term work. Okay, we are digging down to the roots and looking for the seeds to unseed of white supremacism, racism that has had many, many years to grow itself, to become a spirit. It is in everything. It's insidious, so big we can't even see it all. Okay, so that space, okay, in my sessions, what I have noticed, it comes up all the time, is people are getting confusing messages, right? I don't know when to talk. I don't know if I should talk. Okay. I've been told that I have to speak up right now. And then I've been told that I shouldn't ever speak. I've been told that I should pay Black educators and activists and all this. But then I've been told that I shouldn't help them up, lift them up, because it's like giving them it's like white saviorism, right? So let me tell you, until you dig in and find out who you really are and do your activism, your allyship, your accomplishment, however you're naming it, okay? Until you do it from a place of really knowing who you are, and that takes looking ancestry and spirit too, okay? Then you're always going to be in this position where you're letting other people, white or Black or indigenous or whatever, other people dictate how you do this. You're always going to be questioning, like, I don't know. You're always going to be in that place of confusion. And that leads to inaction. If you're always confused and you're always like, I don't know, I don't know what to do. You have to find a place of being empowered and healing. That's going to come from knowing who you are. That's one thing I see with white people, and I think why appropriation is such a big topic and quickly evolving topic is because I see that populations of white people really don't. This is true for everybody, but right now I'm talking to white people, really don't know who you are when it comes to your identity, whether it be race or where you come from or your ancestry or how powerful your spirit actually is and how much wisdom you actually have access to. If your attention is going to like racism, antiracism, wanting to do something about it, there's something within you that has the healing, that has the support, that has the solution. There is something in you. And like we know, whether it's about racism or anything else, if we don't answer the call of our spirit, then we're always going to find turmoil. If we don't answer the call of what's inside us and answer the desires, because a lot of you are out there, whether you know it or not, they're trying to break cycles and build new legacies at the desires of your ancestors. It's programmed into your spirit. So if you keep ignoring it and you keep being in action because you're feeling fear and guilt and humiliation, or you made a mistake, or you got involved with people who are causing harm and then you're humiliated, it's just going to be compounded. You're just going to keep feeling bad. It's not going to go away. Our attention to this huge wound and this evil, toxic, nasty beast that is racism, it's not going away. It's going to touch every family, every community. I don't care how rural your community are. It's going to touch every industry, everything that you're trying to create. It is not going away. Ask yourself these questions. Start getting into action. Find your way. Get in touch with who you really are, because this is not going away. You cannot avoid it forever. Okay. I'm encouraging you really to get into your heart, in other words, and let your brain work, because that is what I see come up in these sessions or in my courses, is that people are literally, and I've been there before in other ways, are literally talking about like being woken up because they've allowed themselves to be brainwashed. Okay. It happens in this culture a lot. Okay. It's a tactic in our culture. It's a tactic of colonialism to be brainwashed and then brainwash each other. So this is my last thing before I give you some references to go check out. Learn from teachers, follow activists, support people who are doing this work under that respect you as a human being, okay, that there's space for mistakes, that are clear about what the space is, because you might walk into spaces where it's like you're here to learn, okay, we're going to teach this thing or whatever, and you're here to learn, and we'd like you to stay quiet. That's very different than shut up, white person, you're garbage. That's different. You see the difference, right? Tell me in the comments that you see the difference between that. You see the difference between walking into a space where you have say an Indigenous council who's speaking of the problems and the solutions, and you are an invited guest to learn and understand what is they're going through and what they're trying to create. And the difference between that and when you show up and ask a question and they're like, how stupid are you? Okay, you see the difference. Okay, when you're letting your brain work and you're letting your heart work, you can see the difference between like the role that I show up in, right? And the appropriate roles. Okay, somebody's saying huge difference. Yeah, okay. And I know for some of you, you can't see those differences yet. And that's okay if that's where you are. That's why I make these videos. That's why I have courses. That's why there's so many people out there. It can be scary to navigate, but there are so many people out there that use that exemplify and use compassion when they are teaching, okay? Let me give you one more difference because I really want you to understand this. There's a big difference between if you say something that's offensive and racist and you don't even know it. There's a big difference between like, fuck you, go learn something. You are a white supremacist. There's a big difference between that and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to ask you to take a step back and listen because what you just said is exemplifying white supremacism. Though I don't think it was your intention, it's actually very offensive and causes harm. Please take a step back here. There's a difference, okay? One shuts you down, plays on your shame and guilt. One of them is going to invoke fear. The other one is going to say, hey, this is what this one calls it out and says, hey, there's a different way to do this. And also this causes harm. Okay. There's nuances to this. So I just want you to be really clear about who you're supporting, because when you do support activists, leaders, teachers, whatever, that are using manipulative tactics, guilting and shaming and all of that, it doesn't just hurt you. It also hurts other people in their own communities. So, and there's repair work to do there. All right. And I talked a little bit about that. If you scroll down on my page, there's a post called Portland Activism. I talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to get deeply into that right now. I'm going to give you some references and an invitation for you right now. Okay. Here are some activists, some people who are in action work, being accomplices, allyship, to follow, to see how they communicate, to maybe get involved with what they're doing, to just follow and sort of learn that there are people out there doing the work and groups out there doing the work that are welcoming, that are straight up and real, that either I'm involved with or that are trusted friends are involved with, right? This is just a starting point for a lot of you. First and foremost, be abundant bodywork here in Portland. Cranial sacral, movement therapy, massage, all of that. I go there because, I hold a lot of tension. I also do anti-racism work. So like I deal with a lot of pain and trauma, not only for myself, but other people, right? And so I need care. This place with Shannon Lord, Be Abundant Bodywork, and Catherine Braxton, and there's many other practitioners there. They do physical trauma healing, and they're very trauma informed, and they have a focus and a mission to really serve communities of people who are the system seeks to marginalize. Okay, you could donate to them. You could go get work done there. Oh my God, my jaw is always closed shut. I remember I had one session there once, and I found myself being slack jaw a week later, and I was like, slack jaw? I've never been slack jaw in my life. Please, I cannot recommend them enough. Okay. Feed the Mass with Jacobsen Valentine, okay? Feeding people, getting volunteers together to feed people who the system seeks to marginalize. They're consistent. You can see all their work online. You can donate to them. You can get involved with them. Stand Up for Justice. Stand Up for Justice is a Facebook group. Antoinette Rootsdawtah runs that. There's constant stuff in there about learning how to lobby, education. I drop some of my stuff in there sometimes. There's free classes. They support Chris Odom's Black Portland food boxes. they're always doing different types of lobbying and protesting there that you can bring your family to. That's a really good place to follow. Taneesha Grant, Moms Unite for Black Lives NYC, activism and leadership events. Just go check out her page and see what they're doing and see the documentation of what they're doing. You can actually see what's happening there and the clarity of the leadership. Chris Odom, Black Community Portland, like I mentioned before, food boxes. They've been doing food boxes and give out and money support, give out here in Portland for as long as I've known him, probably for many years before I even knew him. All of this is linked in this video. Okay. And lastly, especially white people, come work with me. There are 3 ways to work with me. There are 3 ways to work with me. I put it I put my link in this video, and I'll put it here too. And I have a class coming up, and this class is beginning learning anti-racism. And I want to tell you right now, I do not use guilting or shaming in my classes. I create empowering and healing spaces in my courses because that's what all of you are worthy of having. And also, we need all hands on deck. We cannot do this thing anymore where we let other people do the work, especially white people. You cannot let other people do all the work. You have to be active. And the cool thing is when you get your heart involved and when you let your brain work, you find a way to get active that makes sense for you. It has to make sense for you. Not all of you are going to go to the front line to protest. Not all of you. Right? Am I right? Let's not pretend that we all can do all the same things all the time. Not all of you are going to come to the front line to protest. Not all of you are able to give $50 a month. Not all of you are have the time because you might have 10 kids and like 3 jobs and all this stuff. You might not have the time to read all the books all the time and see all the You might not have all the time to do that. I do suggest that you find time to unlearn and learn and you racial sensitivity and all this other stuff, but you really might be in a situation where you are struggling. Okay? So, I can't tell you what your action is, but I do know that this is the work that's important for you to be doing, okay, that we're learning in this class. This is an important work for you to be doing so that you know how to navigate yourself and you know how to figure out what your activism is, what your anti-racist work or allyship or accomplishment work is, and it has to be done now. White supremacism, racism will not go away unless you actually dismantle it, and if you're not actually dismantling it, then you're nourishing it because that's how our system is built. For all of us to be nourishing it within ourselves and around us. Okay, so you're invited. I know that we're zoomed out. We don't want to be on screens anymore. The spring is coming. We think things are going to get back to normal. Okay, these are recordings that can be delivered to you and you just keep them and you're going to keep coming back. The classes in this course, there's 3 of them, is Am I Racist? If you haven't asked this question, if your answer is automatically no to this question, then you need to come to this class, okay? Talking to racist and stubborn family and community members, okay? That is something you're gonna have to do confidently. Whether you really wanna be a freedom fighter or not, you're gonna have to be able to do this confidently and feel grounded when you're doing it. And also the top 5 things you need to fight racism. So please come to this class, bring your friends, tag, like, and share, and I'll put the link here as well for that class. That's it. Thank you so much for being here. I love your comments. I always come back to look at your comments. Thank you. I see Kira is here. Excited about your documentary. I see Maitri is here. Thank you. Thank you for calling that out. I bless you and I appreciate you. And Kira saying like huge difference. Yeah. When I was talking about the differences of how people are talking to each other. So, okay, that's it. I love you all. I am accessible. Reach out in my inbox and thank you all for being here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, bye-bye.